China's leader Xi Jinping is visiting long-standing ally North Korea for the first time in nearly 7 years. State media report Xi will be in North Korea from 8 to 9 June at the invitation of his counterpart Kim Jong-un. Xi last visited Pyongyang in 2019.
Karachi, Pakistan. Over a few breezy winter weeks in Karachi, boxing coach Yunus Kambrani sent a steady stream of WhatsApp messages from his neighbourhood of Liari, videos, photos, old newspaper clippings that together formed an extensive archive of how he teaches girls to throw a punch. In one of the videos, the bearded and skullcap-clad Kambrani, 60, uses the palms of his hands and ducks as his young students practice throwing their punches. The thuds of the colliding boxing gloves and the scuff of the sneakers against the concrete floor of Kambrani's Pak Shaheen boxing club masked the din on the street.
Climate change could have a major impact on the FIFA World Cup 2026, with a new analysis warning that heat conditions may affect player performance in almost every match of the tournament. According to Climate Central, 97 of the 104 scheduled matches across the United States, Mexico and Canada are now more likely to be played in temperatures above 28 degrees Celsius. Previous scientific research has linked this temperature level with reduced football performance.
Researchers are exploring an unconventional cancer treatment that uses engineered bacteria to target the oxygen-free environments inside tumours. A University of Waterloo-led team is developing a tool that modifies bacteria to enter solid tumours, grow inside them and destroy them from within. Karachi's worsening urban heat is no longer just a seasonal discomfort and could turn into a major public health crisis if urgent action is not taken, a senior community health expert has warned. Prof. Zafar Fatmi, who heads Environmental Occupational Health and Climate Change at Aga Khan University's Department of Community Health Sciences, said the city's urban heat effect appears to be growing more intense due to both climate change and the way Karachi is expanding.
The OCAF department has taken disciplinary action against 4 officials previously posted at the shrine of Hazrat Bibi Pak Daman after an inquiry found evidence of embezzlement of donations offered by devotees. The action was taken as part of an ongoing crackdown on financial irregularities in the department. Investigations launched on the directions of the OCAF board concluded that Nazrana collected at the shrine had been misappropriated, violating the trust of visitors and worshippers. As Pakistan battles the devastating impacts of global climate change, Oil and Gas Development Company Limited, OGDC, is at the forefront of sustainable transformation. As the country's largest exploration and production E&P company, OGDC is aligning its operations with global climate priorities while continuing to support national energy needs. The company's approach reflects a growing recognition that economic growth and environmental sustainability must go hand in hand.
Pakistan's summers are no longer what they used to be. Lahore, Karachi, Multan, Hyderabad, cities that once peaked at 44 degrees Celsius are now crossing 50 degrees Celsius. This is not a temporary anomaly. It is the new baseline, and it is getting worse. The question every Pakistani household must now ask is not whether they need an air conditioner, but whether the one they buy can actually perform when the heat is at its most punishing. Most cannot. And that is a problem worth understanding before you spend your money.
Chinese President Xi Jinping will visit North Korea from June 8 to 9, state news agency Xinhua said on Friday, his first trip in nearly 7 years, as Beijing looks to reassert ties with Pyongyang. The announcement follows separate summits Xi hosted in Beijing for US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin last month. Trump, who met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times in his first term, previously said he would be open to meeting the North Korean leader again.
Mira Murati isn't a natural creature of the conference stage. As the CTO of OpenAI, she was present but rarely the public face of the company. As CEO of her own company, Thinking Machines Lab, she has been even harder to find. So when she sat down with Bloomberg in San Francisco on Thursday, her first major public appearance in roughly 18 months, it was worth paying attention, even if she was careful not to say too much. The timing makes sense. Thinking Machines has spent the better part of a year and a half operating largely in the background, raising capital, hiring researchers, and shipping one product, Tinker, an API for fine-tuning open-source AI models. Cite's 2026 study that finds Karachi has highest urban-rural temperature difference says emergency response not enough. The city must reduce heat at its source, links pollution, dense construction, traffic, and tree loss to growing health risks Karachi, highlighting the multiple environmental challenges Karachi faces. Senior community health sciences expert has called for urgent actions at both the government and individual levels to tackle the growing urban heat problem that's silently damaging public health and productivity.
Pakistan has one of the highest diabetes prevalence rates in the world. About 1 in 3 adults is living with diabetes here, some 33 to 34 million people. Shouldn't there be public information campaigns to raise awareness about preventing living with diabetes? Where are these programs in Pakistan? Heart disease is the leading cause of mortality in Pakistan. It is responsible for an estimated 30 to 40% of deaths. Pakistan's cardiovascular disease rate is 648.6 persons per 100,000. The ischemic heart disease rate is 188 per 100,000 persons. Both are the highest in the region.
Pakistan ended a wait of more than 2.5 years for an international victory with a commanding 3-0 win over the Maldives in the Diamond Jubilee International Football Tournament as the Shaheens finally turned promising performances into goals at the National Stadium on Thursday. The victory was significant on multiple fronts. It marked Pakistan's first win in 961 days, their first triumph over the Maldives since the 1991 South Asian Federation Games final, and also handed head coach Norberto Solano his maiden victory in charge of the national side.
Xi Jinping will travel to North Korea next week for a rare visit that comes just weeks after the Chinese leader hosted US President Donald Trump and Russian leader Vladimir Putin for separate, nearly back-to-back visits in Beijing during a 2-day state visit starting from next Monday, state media Xinhua announced on Friday. North Korea's state-run KCNA news agency also confirmed the trip.
Lahore, the Lahore High Court, LHC, has dismissed a public interest litigation poll seeking wide-ranging directions regarding electricity load shedding, gas shortages and energy sector governance, holding that courts cannot act as regulators or intervene in complex policy matters falling within the domain of specialized statutory bodies. The court also imposed a punitive cost of 100 dundras, or go, on the petitioner for filing what it termed a frivolous and unsubstantiated petition.
From penalising green technology to sidelining adaptation, the government's spending choices seem to contradict its own climate commitments. Without new budget pillars, proper risk screening, end to green taxes, countries' fiscal plans will only deepen climate vulnerability for a country whose economic survival is tied to shoring up its climate resilience. The government's budget allocations have failed to reflect this pressing concern.
World Environment Day arrives as the planet edges deeper into climatic uncertainty. New global temperature records are being set with unsettling frequency, and the World Meteorological Organization has warned that the years from 26 to 2030 are likely to rank among the hottest ever observed. There is a strong possibility that another record-breaking year will emerge before the decade is out, while average global temperatures are expected to remain close to or above the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold that governments once hoped would help avert the worst impacts of climate change. The warning may be global, but its implications are intensely local. In May, temperatures in parts of Sindh and Balochistan climbed towards 50 degrees Celsius, triggering heatwave alerts and heightening concerns about pressure on already strained power, water and health systems. At the same time, scientists continue to raise the alarm about the glaciers and snow reserves that feed the Indus Basin. For a country whose agriculture, food security, and energy production depend heavily on the Indus Basin, changes in the region's ice reserves carry consequences that extend far beyond the mountains.
Election results are still trickling in for primary races across California, including in Los Angeles, where incumbent Mayor Karen Bass is up against reality star turned challenger Spencer Pratt to lead the city. But the days-long delay in knowing who won these Tuesday races is a common occurrence in California's to about 23 million registered voters. That's home to about 20 million red voters. Counting these votes, including the millions of mail-in ballots, could take weeks.
Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky has had enough of merely being an artificial intelligence kingmaker. He now plans to back a new AI lab of his own. The news, broken by Bloomberg and confirmed to TechCrunch by a person familiar with the situation, marks Chesky as one of many Silicon Valley makers who are unsatisfied with the models coming out of the frontier labs. While Airbnb has adopted AI coding tools, Chesky said last year it hasn't struck an LLM partnership because existing products weren't quite ready.
Volodymyr Zelensky has called for a face-to-face meeting between himself and Vladimir Putin in a renewed bid to end the war. In an open letter to the Russian president, the Ukrainian leader said it would be wrong to simply wait until the war in Europe becomes the focus of the US's attention once more, adding peace could only come through direct engagement between Ukraine and Russia.